found in the case file with lab number 34369/15, which is Cleveland case 93, Cleveland case 96 of 2015, containing the following exhibits. It's 4.1 is 2 fired 9mm caliber, 9mm parabellum caliber test cartridge cases and marked 369 TC1 and 369 TC2. Then 4.2 is 2 fired 9mm caliber test bullets marked 369 TB1 and 369 TB2.
Kwathi ngalelo langa ke ngase ngivula ke isikhwama ke sobufakazi esasivaliwe esinumber eUPA 60015333799 esasimakwe ke uCleveland case 9602 ka2015 ngathola ke ku case file ulab 34369/15 uCleveland case 9602/15 ngaphakathi ke kwakunalokho okulandelayo ama cartridge noma amagoblondo amabili ke attestwa ke ayisedutshuliwe e9mm iparabellum amakwe u369 TC1 no369 TC2 kanye ke nezinhlamvu ezimbili ezidutshuliwe ke ewaktestwa ngazo nazo eza9mm zamakwa u369 TB1 no369 TB2.
Now the bullet tests mentioned in 4.2, where do they come from?
The two bullet tests marked 369 TB1 and 369 TB2 are the two test bullets which were fired by Warrant Officer Rulofse under Cleveland case 96 of 2015 with a firearm that was received, the CZ75, that was marked 217267/14.
Lana ke lama bullets amabili ke noma le inhlamvu ezimbili zokutesta ke u369 TB1 no369 TB2 ilezi ke ezasetshenziswa uyena ke uRolse etesta ngazo kusona ke isibhamu lesu ke esasitholakele ke sase Cleveland.
If you can turn to exhibit X in brackets 13 brackets D, the affidavit of Rulofse that you've already referred to, paragraph 6.2 thereof. Are those the fired bullets you're referring to?
Paragraph
6.2.
That's correct, my lord. It's 6.2 is ammunition and test. Ammunition used for test purposes were marked as 369 TC1, 369 TC2 on cartridge cases, and 369 TB1 and 369 TB2 on bullets, and were fired in the pistol mentioned in 3.1.
Yebo kuyiqiniso ukuthi nanjengoba kusho ke ku-statement sakhe uRolse ukuthi ke inhlamvu ezasetshenziswa ke ukuthi ke kutestwe ngazo ke zamakwa ke u369 TC1 no369 TC2 kuwona ke amagobolondo kanye no369 TB1 no369 TB2 kuzona ke inhlamvu zadutshulwa ke ngaso isibhamu ke noma ipistol eshiwo ke noma echaziwe ke ku3.1.
These are the same bullets that I've mentioned in my report.
Izona ke lezo inhlamvu lezo engikhulume ngazo noma engiyishilo ke kumbiko wami.
Yes, you may proceed. Paragraph 5.
Paragraph 5, intention and scope of forensic examination comprises of the following ballistic techniques. Microscopic individualization of fired bullets.
Inhloso ke yalokho ke kwakubheka ke ukwahlukanisa ke nokuchaza ke inhlamvu ezisetshenzisiwe.
On paragraph 6, I said I examined the fired bullets mentioned in 3.1 and 4.2 and compared the individual and class characteristic markings transferred to them by firearm components during the firing process using a comparison microscope and found.
Yes. Just before you proceed, can you just once again identify those exhibits mentioned in paragraph 3.1 and 4.2?
The exhibits mentioned in 3.1 is the fired bullet 9mm. Is the fired 9mm caliber bullet that I've marked 217267 stroke 14A2.
And which one is it?
Is
Where does it come from?
Bullet that I have received from the crime scene.
Lana ke ngikhuluma uma ngikhuluma noma ngichaza lokhu ke ngathi uma ngihlola ke inhlamvu lezo ezasetshenziswa ekhulunywa ngazo ke ku 3.1 ku 3.1 ukhuluma ke ngenhlamvu eyodwa ke esesetshenzisiwe yayo i9 mm caliber ile engayithola ke kuyona ke icrime scene kanye ke na ku 4.2 ngaze ngiqhathanisa ke nama characteristics lawo kanye futhi nama mark ke asuka kuyona ke noma asuka kusona ke isibhamu. Yes.
And 4.2, which exhibits are those?
4.2 are the two fired 9mm caliber test bullets marked 369 TB1 and 369 TB2.
Bese kuthi ke u4.2 ilamagobolondo amabili ke ewasetshenziswa ke noma ekwaku sorry akusona amagobolondo inhlamvu eziwu2 zayo i9 mm ezazezidubulile ezamakwa ke u369 TB1 no369 TB2.
And who conducted those tests?
I conducted the test.
No.
Imina ke owayitesta.
No, in 4.2.
In
In
4.2.
4.2 years.
Oh, these were fired by warrant officer Ruloffs.
Kwaku u4.2 ke owatesta ke laphana kwaku warrant officer Ruloffs.
Yes, you may proceed. Paragraph 6.1.
In paragraph 6.1, I said there is sufficient class characteristics but insufficient individual characteristic marking transferred to these bullets by firearm components during the firing process, which could be due to the difference in bullet material. As a result, I took a decision to obtain the additional tests of the same material as the exhibit bullet.
Lana ke ngathola ke ukuthi uma ke lama characteristics ehlanganisiwe ke eyi-class kutholakala ke ukuthi ke kukhona ke okwanele kodwa ke uma ke uwabheka ngayodwa i-characteristics utholeke ukuthi akukho okwanele uma ngaba lama marks esendluliselwa ke kuzona ke le inhlavu isona isibhamu ngayo i-process leyo eyokudubula kodwa ngoba ke kwakunomehluko owawukhona ke kuyinhlamvu ezasetshenziswa ngenxa yalokho ngase ngithathe isinqumo ke sokuthi ngiphinde futhi ngithathe amanye ama-tests.
Can you just explain what you mean by class characteristic?
By class characteristic, my lord, I refer to the number of grooves on the bullets, on both bullets, the width of the bullets, and then the twisting of the bullets. Those I could see the similarities, but even the size, the width of those grooves were the same. But the difference was the tests were the full metal jacket, and the bullet from the crime scene was a CMJ, a complete metal jacket. Now the markings or the individual markings were not clear on the exhibit bullet from the crime scene, whereby on the bullet, the test bullets, as it's a hard bullet, it will pick up more marks than what appears on the exhibit bullet.
Lana ke ngoba ke uthola ukuthi inhlamvu ezimbini ke embili lezi engafani ke CMJ ne FMJ utothola ke ukuthi ke kuloku okubhekayo ke ukuthi ke inhlamvu ezahlukile awungeke utholeke ama lines noma ama characteristics afanayo.
Yes, may I proceed?
Then I took a decision on if I can get the firearm back to shoot the correct test, the CMJ, the correct type of bullets in this firearm. And then I can compare those bullets that I fired with the bullets from the crime scene to see if there can be similarities on those ones.
Ngase ngithatha isinqumo ke sokuthi ke uma isibhamu leso singabuya ke ngiphinde ngisithole futhi ngisebenziseke lo lehlobo ke lwenhlamvu ke lolu olwatholakala khona kuyona ke icrime scene ngingasebenzisi inhlamvu eyahlukene ke ngibheke ke ukuthi ngakhona yini ukuhlangana noma ukufana.
Yes, you may proceed.
On paragraph 7, I said, on Monday, the 20th of July, 2020, I received an open seal bag with number PA 400081085, marked inter alia Cleveland case 96 of 2015, and SAP 1386/2015, containing the following.
Kwathi ngomsombuluko nge-20 sika July 2020 ngathola ke isikhwama sobufakazi esasivuliwe esinenamba PA 4000810885 esasimakwe uCleveland Mass 960215 kanye no SAP 1386/2015 ngaphakathi ke kwakunalokho.
7.1. Inside that bag, I found one 9mm parabellum caliber CZ Model 75 single and double action semi-automatic pistol with serial number obliterated, but it was marked 34369/15 on the trigger guard and one magazine.
Ngathola-ke ngaphakathi kwakuyiwa i-9mm eyodwa i-parabellum i-CZ model 75 i-single kanye ne-double action i-semi-automatic kwakuyi-pistol ne-serial number eyayisuliwe eyamakwa u-3436915 kuyona-ke i-trigger guard kanye ne-magazine eyodwa.
On 7.2, there was one ammunition box inside that seal bag, and it contained the following: 7.2.1, 16 9mm parabellum caliber cartridges and rounds, and 7.2.2, and 10 9mm short caliber cartridges rounds.
Ngaphakathi futhi-ke kwase kukhona-ke nebhokisi eyodwa noma i-ammunition eyodwa ibhokisi enalokhu ngaphakathi ama-rounds awu-16 e-9mm caliber amakobolondo kanye futhi-ke nama-short cartridges e-9mm awu-10 ngaphakathi ama-rounds.
Now, Lieutenant Colonel, before we proceed, you mentioned in paragraph 7 that on Monday, the 20th of July 2020, you received an open seal bag with that number. Can you just explain what?
An open seal bag now.
Yes. What do you mean here?
My lord, I went to Cleveland Police Station, SAP 30. I requested the exhibit from the case number. I gave them the case number. They gave me the 30 number. And the first thing that the warrant told me was that the firearm has already been dispatched for destruction, but it's still in another safe, not in the SAP 30. But he can look for it. He went to look for it and came back. I think it was in a box. When he opened the box, it was that seal bag. It was open seal bag. Inside that seal bag, they put a tag with the SAP 13, and there was this pistol and the box with the ammunition that I've mentioned.
Ngaya-ke e-Cleveland la khona-ke ngabanikeza khona-ke inamba lena ngacela-ke ukuthi banginikeze-ke lesi sibhamu lesi. Wangitshela-ke uwarrant lowo-ke ukuthi isibhamu leso-ke kwakuyisibhamu-ke manje abasebenzi ukuthi behlukaneke naso noma-ke singabi kusakhona-ke e-police station, kodwa-ke ukuthi sasisekhona kwenye i-safe wahamba-ke wayoyikhipha lapho-ke kwakune-seal bag eyayivuliwe-ke kanye-ke naleli bhokisi elalikhona ngaphakathi.
Which warrant officer are you referring to?
I can't remember his surname.
Angisasikhumbuleki isibongo sakhe loyo warrant officer.
Captain Charlie has testified. Does the name ring a bell?
Charlie.
Yebo uyena-ke umtshali.
Yes. Are you done explaining this concept of an open seal bag?
That's correct, ma'am.
Biloko kube ngichaza ukuthi-ke lesi sikhwama sobufakazi sasivuliwe.
Yes, you may proceed. The exhibit mentioned in 7.1, do you have it with you today in court?
In 7.1?
Yes.
Yes, I have it with me.
Yes, can you just show it to the court?
It's still sealed in the evidence bag.
So ikona-ke lokho engikhuluma ngako-ke ile 9mm-ke i-parabellum ekula ku-7.1 isavaliwe-ke lesi sikhwama lesi.
Yes, and the seal bag number?
The seal bag number that's still sealed, it's PA 400 1985 198.
UPA 400 198 5198.
Sorry, you're saying that bag, exhibit bag is sealed.
This one.
You can't open it.
We can open it for.
Yeah, let's open it so that everybody can see that firearm. Because one of the defenses is that these firearms were switched. But that there was a likelihood, because there was a hiatus of about 5 years plus when these firearms were stored by Njali. And the contention is that nobody knows what could have happened to them. You can't exclude the possibility that these firearms were switched. Yeah, but for purposes of this court, you said you were going to call rule officer.
Yes, indeed, my lord.
Yeah, because the allegation is that the rule officer is the one who tested the firearm first. Can you describe the characteristics for the record of that firearm which you have?
Well, the firearm that I'm having is a CZ75, model 75,
Right,
and then the serial number has been obliterated.
right.
As I said, normally when you receive a firearm that the serial number has been obliterated, you mark it with a lap number here underneath the trigger guard. And the lap number that is marked on this one is 34369.
Lesi-ke isibhamu sorry. I-CZ model 75 kanye-ke futhi i-serial number yakhona isusiwe-ke kodwa-ke kune-lab number esiyibekayo eku-343 sorry 69
Stroke 15.
stroke 15.
So this lap number was marked by warrant officer rule officer when he examined this firearm.
Uyena-ke ulolose owabhala-ke leyo lab number nkathi-ke ebheka sona isibhamu lesi.
Yeah, let the defense see that firearm. Even the accused, they see it.
This can be,
It's
As long as it
there's
is
no
safe.
ammunition in this one.
I want to see it also, my killing machine. I want to see it. Hmm?
Yeah,
Under the trigger guard.
under the,
And the trigger, yeah.
yeah, let me show you. Yeah.
And you say the etching couldn't resuscitate the number.
They have retrieved the number of this firearm.
Yeah, I have
What?
retrieved it.
Yes.
And
Now,
it's
warrant
8 whatever.
officer,
Yeah, remember, it's 8 whatever. Just read it again, because you said originally it was filed off. That's
the serial number was filed off.
right, and then you retrieved
And
it
during the
by
etching process,
etching process, and then it was.
warrant officer, rule officer could identify the serial number or recover the serial
Can
number.
you read it from there?
With the etching process, you can only
No, I mean
identify.
after the etching process was applied.
After the etching process, you cannot read it again. You have to put it on
Okay,
the
I see.
system
I
again.
hear you. It's a microscopic story.
No, with the etching, when you use the acid,
Yes, yes.
you apply the acid and electricity on it, you rub it with a green mama.
Right.
The number will appear. You can be able to read the number. But the minute you start cleaning it, removing it from there, those numbers sometimes disappear
Okay,
again. But
fine.
the instances where they will remain visible.
Okay.
Uma kuwukuthi inamba isuliwe-ke kusekusetshenziswe le process-ke inamba iyavela-ke kodwa kamuva-ke uma usuphinde uscreena-ke kuyenzeka ukuthi leyo namba leyo futhi-ke isingabonakali.
maybe for record purposes, we can refer to the affidavit of warrant officer, rule officer, exhibit X in brackets 13D, paragraph 8 thereof.
Warrant officer, rule officer statement. In paragraph 8 of Warrant Officer Rule Officer Statement, it said, after application of the electromagnetic etching processes, I determined the serial number of the firearm mentioned in 3.1 possibly as 8587B.
Le number ke uthi udolose uma ebheka ke noma esebenzisa ke yona ke leyo nqubo noma leyo process yabo ke bathi etching wathola ukuthi kunga number yayo ke u8587B.
Scott, please, my lord, the firearm has been handed up as Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can proceed to paragraph 7.2. Paragraph 7.2 of your affidavit.
7.2. On 7.2, it's one ammunition box containing 69mm parabellum caliber cartridges, rounds. And 7.2.2, it's 10 9mm short caliber cartridges, rounds.
Lana ke ku 7.2 ukuthi kwakune box eyodwa ke yeinhlamvu phakathi inama rounds awu 16 9mm parabellum amagobolondo i-rounds akhona kanye ke nama short caliber amagobolondo ama cartridge ama rounds akhona awu 10.
And all the ammunition found in this box are the CMJ ammunition.
Futhi ke onke lana ke atholakala lana ke ilawa ohlobo ke lwe CMJ kule box e blue iPad.
It's the same type of bullet that was recovered from the crime scene.
Ile yanhlobo ke yama bullet noma yeinhlamvu eyatholakala kwindawo yesigameko.
As a court, please, my lord, to request that the box and the bullets be handed up as Exhibit 5.
Exhibit 5.
Yes, my lord.
Okay.
Exhibit 3 is a bullet fragment and 4 is the bullet here, the projectile.
We handing them.
Yes, maybe, yes, we can also show them to the defense and the accused.
The box.
Yes, the box and ammunition.
The box.
Oh, this.
Yes.
Yeah. So that you can see the color, because it was described in some of the evidence which was here.
Yes,
Sorry, sorry, is the color blue? Yeah, is it a blue? Is it blue or green or white? It's fine.
the firearm. The
Well,
Cleveland.
When I got to Cleveland, the firearm was not in the SAP 30. So, the SAP 30. It was
Angifika ke eCleveland sike sasingekho ezinye ke ibham abazo ukuthi ke zazizochithwa ke noma ke zihambe ke bayoze nakalisa bayozilahla.
Yes, you mentioned a tag Is there a tag on the firearm?
There is a tag with the SA.
What is the SA number?
It's equivalent then 18 86
Balo Cleveland 9602 2015 kanye no 86/2015.
Yes.
and then the exhibit that was is the same exhibit that was sealed by warrant officer rule of sale.
Sobufakazi yilesi-ke esasivalo. Sir.
The seal back number is PA 4000 810885.
Inamba yakhona-ke u-PA 4000 810885.
If you can once again refer to Exhibit X in brackets 13D. Rule of sale.
And warrant officer rule of sale
Yeah, good. Paragraph 10.1.
and 10.1 of warrant officer rule of sale. It says on Friday the 15th of on 13th of Friday 2015, the exhibit mentioned in 3.1 to 3.3 were sealed in an evidence bag with number PA 4000 810885 and handed over to the case administration of the section or ballistic section.
Nge-13 February 2015, ama-exhibit achaziweke ku-3.1 ukuya-ke ku-3.3 afakwa-ke kwisikhwama sobufakazi esinenamba OPA 4008108885 ase endluliselwa-ke kwi-case administration kwi-section yama-ballistics.
Yes. Does it correspond with the number that you've just read out?
It's the same seal back number, my lord.
Inamba-ke eyodwa nale ebengiqeda uyifunda khona lana-ke kule evidence bag.
Yes. Was there an entry made in the register
That's correct, my lord. There was an entry made at the,
regarding the removal of these exhibits?
at the SAP 13. I signed for the exhibit.
Kwi-SAP 13 yakhona-ke ngasayinda-ke ukuthi lo bufakazi noma le ma-exhibit ngiyawathatha.
If I can refer you to Exhibit X2. If you count from the first page, the first, second, the third page. The entry there under the date 20 July 2020, can you just place that on record?
On the date 20/20/07/20, item book 3.1 or item 3.1 booked to FSL Ballistics for further examination.
Nge-20 zika-July 2020 bhaliwe-ke ukuthi-ke kwakhishwa-ke item u-3.1 wase ebhukwakhe eyawa khona-ke elab ye-ballistic ukuthi iyohlolwa-ke futhi.
And below I signed for it, man.
Ngenzansi-ke ngasayina.
Yes, just place those particulars on record.
I signed
Booked by?
it's a book by 0471799/6, Lieutenant Colonel C. Mangena. And there's a signature and there's my contact details below.
Bhaliwe-ke laphayana ukuthi uyabhukwa kwabhalwa-ke inamba-ke yasemsebenzini uLieutenant Colonel C. Mangena wasayinda-ke kanye nenamba yakhe.
And that item 3.1, just for record purposes, what was it?
On 3.1, it's a 19mm black pistol CZ75 caliber, serial number filed off.
Ku-3.1-ke kubhalwe lana-ke ukuthi i-9mm emnyama ngombala i-pistol i-CZ75 nokuthi serial number yakhona-ke yayisuliwe.
Did you only book out the firearm?
I booked up this firearm and the box of ammunition that was with it and the magazine.
Ngakhipha-ke noma ngathatha-ke lapho isibhamu, i-box lena-ke eyinenhlamvu kanye nayo imagazini.
Yes. Thank you. We can then get back to your affidavit. You've now booked out the exhibits.
Yes. Well, I went back to the office and as paragraph 8,
Eight.
that said, I examined and tested the pistol mentioned in 7.1 and found the pistol mentioned in 7.1 functions normally without any obvious defects. Ammunition used for test purposes were marked 369 TC3 to 369 TC10 on the cartridge cases and 369 TB3 to 369 TB10 on the bullet and were fired in the pistol mentioned in 7.1.
Kwathi-ke ngase ngibuyela khona-ke ehhovisi ngase ngihlola-ke futhi ngithesta-ke i-pistol leyo-ke eshiwo noma-ke ekhulunywe ngayo ku-7.1 ngathola ukuthi i-pistol leyo-ke ekhulunywe ngayo ku-7.1 isebenza kahle ayinankinga akukho nje okubonakalayo ukuthi inenkinga ukuthi inhlamvu ezasetshenziswa-ke ukuthi kuthestwe ngazo zamakwake u-369 TC3 ukuyofika-ke ku-369 TC10 kuwona amagobolondo noma-ke ama-cartridge cases kubese kuba u-369 TB3 no-369 TB10 kuzona iy'nhlamvu nokuthi-ke zadutshulwa-ke kuyona-ke i-pistol le ekhulunywa ngayo ku-7.1.
This pistol mentioned in 7.1 is now the exhibit before court,
That's correct, my lord.
exhibit 2 before court.
Futhi-ke le pistol ekhulunywa ngayo ku-7.1 iyona-ke le ephambi kwenkantolo khona manje.
And as far as the test bullets are concerned, you mentioned that you marked them 369 TB3 up to 10. What was before that?
My lord, I fired additional tests in this and I fired different types of ammunition. I fired the CMJ. I used 2 from the box that I've received and I used 2 from the box which we have from NGA ammunition, of which is the same CMJ, and I used 2 from Sailor and Pelot, which is also the CMJ, and I used 2 from PMP. Then I used the PMP was the full metal jacket that I've tested. So I fired 8 different tests inside, and my test will start from TB or TC3 and TB2, because warrant officer rule officers fired TC1 and TC2. So I continued from where warrant officer rule officer finished.
Kuma-test-ke engawenza-ke ngasebenzisa-ke iy'nhlamvu ezahlukeneke kwi-box le ephambi kwe-court-ke eblue ngasebenzisa eziwu-2 sine-box esinayo-ke e-ofisini ngasebenzisa eziwu-2 nezinye-ke o-PMM nayo-ke ngasebenzisa kuyona-ke engayisebenzisa-ke ezahlukene zaba u-8 mina ngase ngiqala-ke kuyena-ke TC3 ngoba-ke u-rule officer wayenze u-TC1 no-TC2 ngase ngiqhubeka-ke mina ukusuka lapho.
The reason why I fired also the full metal jacket from PMP, what I did is to confirm that this is the correct firearm. The previous tests were full metal jacket fired by a warrant officer rule officer. So I also fired full metal jacket. I compared the 2 tests first, the test that I fired on the full metal jacket and the test fired by a warrant officer rule officer, compared them first, and I could get a matching, which confirmed that this is the correct firearm that was examined by warrant officer rule officer.
Ukubheka-ke ukuthi isona isibhamu ekuyisona lesi noma lesi-ke esathestwa uyena u-warrant officer rule officer ngasebenzisa-ke nami-ke i-full metal jacket le awayisebenzisile-ke ukubheka-ke ukuthi kuzoba khona yini ukufana impela-ke ngathola-ke ukuthi kuyafana-ke lokho ama-results aphumayo khona lapho kwanginikeza isiqiniseko ukuthi impela isona lesi esasithestwa uyena u-rule officer.
And after confirming that this is the right firearm, I started comparing the test that I have fired with the exhibit bullet from the crime scene.
Uma sengitholile-ke isiqiniseko sokuthi impela-ke isona lesibhamu lesi esasithestwe uyena uRolose, ngase ngenza-ke ama-test-ke manje sengiqhathanisa-ke nayo-ke inhlamvu eyatholakala kwindawo yesigameko.
Right, on paragraph 9, it said, I examined the fired bullets mentioned in 3.1 and 8.2. Compare the individual and class characteristic marking transferred to them by firearm components during the firing process using a comparison microscope and found there is sufficient class and individual characteristic markings present on both exhibit and test bullets mentioned in paragraph 3.1 and 8.2, which indicate that the bullet mentioned in 3.1 was fired in the pistol mentioned in 7.1.
Ngathi-ke uma sengihlola-ke iy'nhlamvu lezo-ke ezayidutshuliwe ekhulunywa ngazo ku-paragraph 3.1 kanye naye u-8.2 ngase ngiqhathanisa-ke ngathola-ke ukuthi impela-ke kulama-mark lana-ke atransferwa yisona-ke isibhamu uma ngabe sekudutshulwa-ke ngathola ukuthi impela-ke kunama-characteristics ahlanganisiwe noma-ke awodwa-ke noma uma ehlangene noma ayihambela ewodwa kulama-mark lawo akhona-ke kuzona iy'nhlamvu lezi ezayisetshenziswa njengobufakazi kanye-ke nalezo iy'nhlamvu ekukhulunywa ngazo ku-paragraph 3.1 kanye no-8.2 lokho okwaba yinkomba yokuthi inhlamvu ekukhulunywa ngayo ku-3.1 impela yadutshulwa-ke noma iphuma kwisibhamu lesi noma i-pistol le ekukhulunywa ngayo ku-7.1.
Right, my lord,
Just
when you
once
do-
again, sorry, Colonel, if you can just refresh our memories, what are the exhibits mentioned in 3.1?
The exhibit mentioned in 3.1, it's one fired 9mm caliber bullet, which is marked 217-267/14A2.
Sorry. Ku-3.1 kukhulunywa-ke ngebhuleti eyodwa-ke eye-9mm eyayiseyidutshuliwe-ke eyamakwa u-217-267/14A2.
And where does it come from?
It's the bullet from the crime scene.
Inhlamvu-ke lena eyayibuya kwindawo yesigameko.
And 7.1,
7.1, it's one 9mm parabellum caliber CZ75 single and double action semi-automatic pistol with serial number obliterated, and it was marked 34369/15 on the trigger guard and one magazine.
Bese kuthi-ke u-7.1 ile isibhamu-ke lesi-ke esisodwa se-9mm iparabellum ekuyi-CZ model i-75 isingle kanye nayo-ke i-double action semi-automatic pistol eyayine-serial number eyayisuliwe eyamakwa u-34369/15 khona-ke la kwi-trigger guard la bebonise khona-ke kanye nemagazine eyodwa.
and which firearm is it?
It's the firearm that I booked out at the SAP-13 at Cleveland SAPS.
Isibhamu-ke lesi engayo sikhipha-ke kwi-SAP 13 eCleveland noma-ke emaphoyiseni ase-Cleveland.
Is it in court today?
It's the firearm that I'm having here with me, my lord. The
Ilesi
same
sibhamu
firearm.
ilesi sibhamu engisiphethe la kumina-ke namhlanje.
So in simple terms, what does this paragraph mean, 9.1?
Paragraph 9.1 means that the bullet that was recovered from the firearm, from the crime scene, was fired from this firearm.
Lokho okukushoyo ukuthi inhlamvu eyatholakala kwindawo yesigameko inhlamvu eyayiphuma kulesi sibhamu lesi esiphambi kwenkantolo.
Yes, you may proceed.
Right, my lord, what we normally do at the lab is if I have a comparison to do on exhibits and tests, I'll go to the microscope, compare them on the microscope as I have illustrated there, where you put your exhibits on the left and then on the microscope, when you look through it, you can see both items, you start matching them. Once we have a match on it, or even if it's a negative, but to confirm that, I'll call one of my colleagues to come and confirm if my findings are correct. And in this instance, I've asked more than, I think it was 4 colleagues to confirm that, all of them confirmed that, but only one signed the confirmation form. And it was Lieutenant Colonel Serreo who confirmed the case for me that the bullets were.
Sorry, Lieutenant Colonel
Serreo,
Serreo.
yes. Sir.
Can all those people come and give evidence. So that's
Yes, indeed, we will be calling Colonel Sereo.
Rewo.
Yes.
Is that the one who signed?
He will
He's the
sign.
one who confirmed.
Uthi ke mechaza ke uKenneth ukuthi uma ke ngiqhathanisile noma kukhona ke engikutholile ngisho noma ke sekungasahlangane ke seku negative ke osikwenzayo ukuthi sibiza ke ozakwethu labo esisebenza nabo ukuthi baze ke bazofakaza ke noma babone ukuthi lokho engikutholile ngempela kuyiqiniso yini la kumina ke bawu4 engababiza bonke ke babe sebe sinikeza ke isiqiniseko sokuthi impela ke lokho engikutholile nabo ke babona kodwa ke uyedwa kuphela owasayinda kwaba uyena uKenneth Sirewo bathi ke bazombiza ke ukuthi impela ke azokufakaza lokho.
So, Lieutenant Colonel, you're still carrying out a demonstration? You're still carrying out a demonstration?
So man, when we do the comparison, as I said, you look at the striations, you're matching striations. Now, in terms of firearm comparison, we use the 3D or the 2D, whereby you can look at the matching the striations on your bullets and on your test. Now, with the CMJ, what you are looking at is your striations. You might not see the striations matching on one groove. What you'll do is you'll look at different grooves. Now, in this instance, what I could find was there's striations matching on one groove, and where the bullet twisting, those markings will be on one side, but you can't find them on the other side of the same groove. You go to another groove. On the other groove, you can see the striation matched on that. And on that, you can say that based on the fact that you found them, the matching striation, not on only one groove, you can conclude by saying that it's a positive ID.
Masebenzisa yona ke le inhlamvu abayibiza ngokuthi ke CMJ ngenzeka uma ubheka ke lama line ababiza ukuthi ama striations ukuthi ungayithola ku groove eyodwa uma usundlulela kwenye ke ungayiboni ke kodwa uphinde uye kwenye ke uyibone ke lokho kusho ukuthi ke impela ke kuyasho ukuthi ke kuyahlangana ke ngoba uyitholile iline noma ku striation ku groove eyodwa wasephinde futhi uyayithola na kwelandelayo.
Now, how many matching striations are necessary to come to the conclusion that there's a positive match?
Well, on different grooves, what I could say was, what normally do is like when you look at the fingerprints, for a positive match, you have to get at least 7 matchings. Now on this, on firearm examination, what we do is the criteria that we use is it's 6 matching striations on one group, or you can get a set of 2 or 2 sets of 3 matching striations on different groups. Then it makes a hit.
Wenza ke isibonelo ngama fingerprints ukuthi ke kuma fingerprints ukuze utholeke ukuthi impela ke ayahlangana uma uwaqhathanisa ufanele utholeke ama features awu7 kodwa ke lana ke sibheka u6 kodwa uma ukuthi ke uthola 2 kodwa ke ngawu3 kuma ngawu3 abohlukene nalapho uyakwazi ukuhlanganisa ukuthi ke upositive low.
Yes, but in this instance, how many striations did you find on each group?
On each group, my lord, I found on the first group that I've matched, I found 6 matching striations.
Ku groove yokuqala ke engayiqhathanisa ke ngathola ke ama lines la abizwa ukuthi ama striation awu6.
Then on the other groove, I found 5 matching striations.
Kwaze ukuthi ke ku groove elandelayo ke ngathola awu5.
On the other groove, I found 2 matching striations, of which the pattern is different from the others. So here we're looking at the striation and the pattern.
Lana ke kodwa kulena ke ngathola 2 kodwa ke ubheke ke indlela angayo ke ukuthi ke yahlukile yona lokho kubizwa ngokuthi ke i-pattern.
Yes, I use those three, my lord.
Ngasebenzisa lezo eziwu-3.
Did you prepare a court chart to demonstrate the match?
That's correct, my lord. I prepared a code chart for that.
Kune-code chart-ke engiyenzile-ke ukuba ukukhombisa khona lokho-ke engikhuluma ngako.
Court, please, my lord. The court chart has been handed out this morning as Exhibit X in brackets 13, E1
E1,
up to E5.
yeah.
Yes. If you can take the court through the court chart, it's also there on the screen.
On the code chart that I have prepared, my lord, you have the first striation there. You have this one.
La khomba khona-ke ila athi khona-ke
You have this
umugqa
one.
wokuqala,
You have here,
elandelayo,
and you have there.
enye naleya.
All these striations are matching. It's a
Zonke
continuation of a line from one exhibit to the other side.
uqhubekeka-ke kwawo-ke ama-line kusuka kwenye-ke umdlulela kwelandelayo.
Yeah, just maybe for record purpose, just indicate which one is the test bullet and which one is the
As I
Exhibit
explained, my
bullet.
lord, on your microscope, your exhibit will be on your left-hand side, your
Yeah.
test will be on your right-hand side. When you look at it, this is the exhibit bullet, and then this side is the test bullet.
Ilena-ke ubufakazi lena engabu-left inhlamvu bese kuthi le eku-right ilena ekuyiyona-ke ekutestwa ngayo.
yes, you may proceed.
When you look at this one, this is where I said with the pattern, there it matches. Then you have a thick line or a thick pattern of it, which continues, starts from this side, continues that side. Here you can see there's a mesh on it, and then here it's not clear on it, but you can see it when you watch, when you're looking at
Kubonakala-ke
it on
lapha
the
phezulu
microscope.
kodwa uma ubheka lana ezansi-ke la akhuluma khona-ke nge-pattern nokuthi futhi-ke iyahlangana.
This one is the same as the previous one. You can,
Ilena-ke efana nale endlulile.
when you look into this one also, your striations this side on the exhibit bullet continues that side on the test bullet.
Uma
So there
ubheka-ke
you have your
lama
matching
marks lana
striations.
noma lama line-ke iyaqhubeka-ke lana ku-left-ke iya kulena-ke ekutestwa ngayo ku-right.
Yes, how many striations did you find there?
On this one, you have the first one there. You have this one too. You have the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, and then the sixth one is this one.
Awu-6-ke uma iwabala-ke lana athi awawathola-ke.
Yes, you may proceed.
The previous one and this one is the same one.
Lena endlulile nalena ziyafana.
Yes, thank you. Right, you can proceed. I think you had paragraph 9.2.
In paragraph 9.2, the bullet fragment mentioned in 3.2 is unsuitable for microscopic comparison due to damage.
Bese kuthi-ke inhlamvu-ke lena yona-ke eyayilimeleke ekhulunywa ngayo ku-3.2 yona-ke ayikho kwisimo-ke sokuthi yayingaqhathaniswa-ke ngenxa yokuthi-ke yayilimele.
In paragraph 10, the conclusions arrived at were based on facts established by means of an examination and processes which requires knowledge and skill in ballistics.
Lokho-ke noma-ke engafikelela kukona-ke ekugcineni-ke ngasho ukuthi kuyikona-ke kwakungenxa-ke yeqiniso kanye namaqiniso-ke noma-ke ama-facts nokuthi lokho ukuthola ngokuthi-ke ubheke-ke noma uhlole-ke lokho kuhlola lokho okufuna-ke ukuthi ulwazi-ke kanye futhi-ke ne-skill kuwona ama-ballistic.
Paragraph 11. After examination, the exhibits mentioned in paragraph 3, 4, and 5 were disposed as follows.
Yes.
On the 23rd of July 2020, the exhibits mentioned and tests mentioned in paragraph 3.1, 3.2, and 8.2 were sealed in evidence bag with number PA 60042107772 and are filed in case file with lab number 217267, which is the Phosphorus case file.
Kwase kuthi-ke emuva kokuthi kwahlolwa-ke ubufakazi lobu obuchaziwe-ke ku-paragraph 3, 4 kanye no-5-ke kwenziwa lokho okulandelayo-ke ngako ngeyi-23 zikaJulayi 2020 ama-exhibits kanye nama-testi-ke ashiwo-ke ku-3.1, 3.2 kanye no-8.2 ase efakwa-ke kwisikhwama sobufakazi esinenamba ewu-PA 60042107772 ase egcinwa-ke noma efayilwa-ke kuyona-ke i-case file ene-lab 0217267114 ekuyiyena-ke leyase-Phosphorus.
And on the same day, the test mentioned in 4.1 and 4.2 were sealed in evidence bag with number PA 60042107765 and were filed in case file with lab number 34369/15, which is the Cleveland case file.
Kwase kuthi ngalelo langa-ke ama-testi-ke la khulunywa ngawo ku-4.1 kanye no-4.2 asefakwa-ke esikhwameni sobufakazi esinenamba ewu-PA 60042107765 afayilwa-ke kuyona-ke i-case file yase-lab ewu-34369/15 ekuyile yase-Cleveland.
Paragraph 11.3. On the 27th of July, the exhibits mentioned in paragraph 7 were sealed in evidence bag with number PA 400440432 and were handed over to the SAP 13 store in Cleveland SAPS.
Ngeyi-27 zikaJulayi 2020 ama-exhibits ekhulunywa ngawo ku-paragraph 7 avalelwa noma afakwa-ke kwisikhwama sasesivalwa-ke sobufakazi esinenamba ewu-PA 400440432 ase endluliselwa-ke kwi-SAP 13 store eyase-Cleveland emaphoyiseni.
And once again, was an entry made in this regard when the exhibits were returned?
That's correct, Madam.
Uma-ke lokhu sekubuyiselwa khona-ke e-Cleveland nalapho-ke kwabhalwa-ke ukuthi kwabuyiselwa.
Can I ask you to once again to turn to exhibit X in brackets 2, the fourth page thereof, on the date 27 July 2020. So what is the entry?
That on the 27th of July 2020. I can't see what is written here, but I can see 3.1 to 3.3 booked back by Lieutenant Colonel C. Mangena.
Lana-ke ngeyi-27 zikaJulayi 2020 ithi item 3.1 to 3.3 la sezibuyiselwa-ke by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena.
And what happened after you booked the exhibits back in?
Right, my lord. After booking in the exhibit as a SAP 13, the investigating officer, Brigadier Gininda, booked them out and said he wants to keep them, remove them from the station for safekeeping. So
Emuva kokuthi ngayithatha-ke noma lawo ma-exhibit lawo ngawasa khona-ke eCleveland wahamba-ke umphenyi wecala uBrigadier Gininda wathi-ke ufuna uwagcina-ke kuyena-ke amagama ufuna ukuthi awasuse-ke e-police station.
Yes.
he said he wanted to keep them safe until the court proceedings, and he feels it's not safe there at the station, but he doesn't have a safe. So he requested me, since I have an exhibit safe at work that I keep all my exhibits, I can take the firearm, he will book it back to me where I can sign that I'm keeping the exhibit with me, And then he brought the exhibit to me at the lab, and I kept them in a safe.
Ngoba ethi ke yena ke wayefila ke ukuthi ke awakho safe ke e-police station uyawakhipha ke ngoba wathi ke futhi ke akanayo ke i-safe ke yena ke uyacela ke ukuthi mina ngiwagcine kumina ke e-lab.
And just for record purposes, what were these exhibits that you kept in your safe at the lab?
The exhibits that I kept in the lab were the firearm and the box of ammunition that they were kept in my safe, exhibit safe, since the same day that we took them back from the station until today when I bring them to court.
Ngikhuluma ngaso isibhamu kanye ke nebox lena ke zakhishwa ke ngaleli langa lena ke ngikhuluma ngalo ukuthi ke uBrigadier Ginyenda wayokhipha ke e-police station kwaze kwanamuhla zagcinwa ke esafini yami kwaze kwanamuhla ke njengoba ngiza nazo la enkantolo.
Yes, you can read the rest of your affidavit.
In paragraph 12, during the performance of my official duties, the exhibits mentioned were for the purpose of the examination kept in my custody under lock and key from the 20th of July until the 27th of July.
Nkathi ke ngenza ke umsebenzi wami ama exhibits lana ke ekhulunywa ngawo ke ngokuthi ke ayezohlolwa ke agcinwa ke yimina ke ngiwakhiyele ngazo i20 ukusuka ngazo i20 zika July 2020 kwaze bayoshaya ke i27 zika July 2020.
Do you confirm the correctness of your affidavit and stand by it?
That's correct, my lord.
Impela ke ngiyaqinisekisa ukuthi lokhu okulana ke kule affidavit ke kuyiqiniso.
If we can perhaps just deal with general issues, Colonel. Now, earlier on, you referred to your central registration system. Can you just explain what is the position when cartridges are sent to the lab? Is there a record kept of the results of those cartridges? And if so, what is the position regarding bullets?
When they are sent to the lab,
Yes, after tests have been carried out. Is there central data where the information is stored?
my lord, we have the IB system, which is the Integrated Ballistics Identification System. It's a system that we're using for comparison of different cases and outstanding cases. Normally what we do is, if we receive cartridge cases from the crime scene, we examine them first to determine how many firearms were used. And if we can determine, let's say we have 20 cartridge cases, and they were fired in 5 firearms, what we'll do, we'll take one specimen from each. We acquire it on the IB system, because they were fighting different firearms. And we'll compare them with outstanding cases. Now, what we do, when you do a comparison on the IB system, the IB system will catch the breech face, the firing pin, the ejector, and the extractor marks. So that's what we acquire on the system, and it will continue comparing them. If we receive the firearm, we do the same thing. We shoot a test with the firearm, and one of the tests, let's say maybe TC1, like in this case I'll say 369 TC1, we acquire it on the IB system to compare with outstanding cases. We do that.
I want to understand. It's sort of a bank,
It's sort of a data bank. Yes.
which you can refer to at any time regarding other cases.
What we'll do is, if you have this firearm under Cleveland,
Yeah.
you can request it to be compared with other cases, and it's either you make it provincial or national.
Okay.
When you do it national, it will, if there's any firearm or if there's any exhibit cartridge cases, that link, it will give you the possibility that this cartridge case, then you have to get them and compare them to confirm if this is the right firearm.
Okay.
Sine system esibiza-ke ngokuthi i-IBIS la khona-ke uma kuwukuthi-ke ama-cartridge atholakele-ke asithi-ke awu-20 mhlampe-ke kuney'bhamu ezahlukeneke ey'setshenzisiwe lapho-ke kuleyo system yila khona-ke iyakwazi yona-ke ukuthi uma ibheka kuleyo cartridges ukuthi-ke kubhekwe namanye-ke amacala aphenywayo noma-ke akusona icala elihlangene ngaleso sikhathi leso noma yinto leyo esiyenza isifunda noma-ke esiyenza-ke nationally yona-ke izokutshela-ke ukuthi noma-ke kuyisibhamu futhi naso kwenziwa ngaleyo ndlela-ke futhi naso sibhekwe kuleyo IB system leyo ukuthi yini akhona amanye amacala ahlanganiswa naso leso sibhamu leso.
Now,
If the system is not, if the system is not overloaded, you'll take about 5 to 10 minutes to acquire one cartridge case. And then we do the same thing with the bullets also. But now the challenge is with one bullet, you can take up to 20 minutes to 30 minutes acquiring one bullet, because we have to acquire each and every groove that's on the bullet. So the decision that was taken at the lab was that with pistols, because in most cases, if a pistol is used, it will eject cartridge cases of the crime scene, and most cartridge cases will be collected at the scene. We do cartridge cases only on pistols. And in case of a revolver, because a revolver doesn't eject cartridge cases at the scene, if bullets are recovered, we'll do bullets on the system also, but you can also do the cartridge cases. In case of like hunting rifles, where you have bigger calibers, like calibers that are used for rhino poaching, all the bullets of bigger calibers, we acquire them on the system to compare with other cases. Now, in this instance, on the first Loras case, because there was no cartridge cases, it was only a bullet, and we don't acquire 9mm or pistol ammunition. That's the reason why we missed the hit on this exhibit, where we were supposed to, if there was a cartridge case, it would have been compared with the Cleveland case around 2015. We could have found a hit on that one. That's how we missed the hit on that one.
Lana-ke uma sikhuluma ngazo-ke ama-cartridge uyakwazi ukuthatha-ke u-5 no-10 minutes kuyona-ke i-system, kodwa-ke uma sikhuluma ngayo-ke i-bullet yona-ke iyakwazi ukuthatha-ke u-20 minutes. Futhi-ke la ekugcineni-ke uma esethi-ke kuyona-ke lena i-case okwabangela-ke ukuthi-ke i-hit-ke size-ke siyimise-ke noma-ke siyigejeke ingoba-ke kwakungena cartridge case eyayikhona-ke khona lapho esasingayihlanganisa noma siyiqhathanise kanye nayo.
Now, Lieutenant Colonel, the exhibit 2 that has just been handed up, the firearm, what caliber firearm is it?
It's a 9mm parabellum.
Isibhamu lesi-ke esilana-ke phambi kwami-ke i-9mm i-parabellum.
You mentioned just now that there were no cartridge cases in this matter.
In the first Loras case, there was no cartridge cases found in the scene.
Yebo ngishilo ukuthi kuqala leli-ke lase-Phosphorus awekho-ke ama-cartridge awatholakala-ke kwindawo yesigameko.
Are you, as a ballistic expert, able to explain as to why there were no cartridges on the scene?
My lord, there can be reasons why the cartridge cases were found on the scene. It's not an unusual thing that when you get a firearm that has been used, it's a pistol, but there are no cartridge cases. There are instances where you found that when the shots were fired, if people were crowded, there's possibility that the cartridge cases could have landed on people's clothing. When they move away from the crime scene. There are instances where you find the person has been shot at the crime scene. At the mortuary, when they undress the person, they find the cartridge cases on the body. And in this instance,
Just a minute.
Lana-ke kunezathu ezahlukeneke engabangela-ke ukuthi ama-cartridge noma amagobolondo engazange atholakale-ke laphayana. Kuyenzeka-ke ukuthi la kunabantu-ke nesixuku sabantu khona-ke ukuthi lawo amagobolondo lawo awele-ke iy'mpahla zabantu abayigqokile. Ngesinye isikhathi uyathola ukuthi uma umuntu esemakhazini noma kwenza esemotuary-ke uma ngaba esekhumulwa-ke impahla yakhe atholakale ela kuyena-ke emzimbeni.
in this instance, what I'm looking at is, if we look at the shot that was fired or how the deceased was shot. It's a contact shot to the body. The firearm was in contact with the body. There's a possibility that his hands could have been on the firearm. If, let's say, the firearm is pointed at him, the shot is fired, his hands is holding the firearm. This will affect the cycling of a firearm, because when a firearm is fired, the shot is fired, and then the firearm must cycle. When the slide moves back, it ejects the fired cartridge cases and then load another round. Now, in the process, if the firearm is held in this position, the slide will not move. So the fired cartridge case will stuck inside the chamber. So that we cannot rule out.
Kusengenzeka-ke ukuthi ngalendlela-ke abonisa ngayo-ke ukuthi mhlampe isandla sakhe uma ufisa sisibambileke isibhamu kanjena. Uma kukanjalo-ke le part lena angeke ize ihambeke, lokho okungenza-ke ukuthi igobolondo noma i-cartridge leyo-ke ihlale ngaphakathi ingaphumi.
Another issue that has come up in this matter is the issue of primer residue.
Well, there's
What is your commentary regarding the conducting of tests,
primer residue.
residue tests?
Well, firstly, we need to understand what are the primer residue, because there's a difference between the primer residue and the propellant powder particles or the gunpowder. When you're talking about the gunpowder or the propellant, it's the powder particles which are found inside this, which burns and turns into gas. And when you're talking about the primer residue, we have this as the primer. And what's the function of the primer? The function of the primer is to ignite the propellant powder that is inside. Now, when the firing pin of the firearm strikes the primer of this will produce flame. So the primer residue is like the ashes from this primer when it produces flame to ignite the propellant powder. Now, when the firearm cycles, that particles will be ejected and it will be thrown everywhere. Now, in instances where a person tests positive for primer residue or even on the clothing, it does not necessarily mean the person has discharged the firearm. It can be one of the four possibilities. It can be that the person has discharged a firearm. It can be that the person has touched a firearm that has just been discharged. It can be that the person was within the vicinity of 2 square meters when the shot was fired. Or it can be a contamination. Now, when you speak of contamination, in this case, what I'm looking at is the deceased was shot in a contact shot. So the residue, the primer residue, it's most likely will contaminate his clothing, his t-shirts. Now, when you look at the people who were in the house, they tried to resuscitate, they carried him into the car to take him to the hospital. In that instance, there could have been contamination. So there could be a possibility that all the people who touched him can test positive for primer residue. And that does not necessarily mean they've discharged the firearm. And does not necessarily mean they were there. But because they've touched him, they can test positive. I can give another example in the case of where you get a person who commits suicide. He shoots himself and then drops, the firearm drops next to him. The first person who responds finds him lying down. He takes the firearm, removes the firearm. The person who removes the firearm can also test positive because they've touched the firearm that has just been discharged. So the primer residue, it depends on the case. Let's say if we have murder cases, all the murder cases cannot be examined the same or cannot be investigated the same way. It will depend on the merit of the case. In this case, I would think that conducting the primer residue on this would not be assisting us with anything.
Masiqala ke ekugcineni kwangeke kusize ngalutho ukuthi ke senzeke i-test lena ye-primer residue. Uma sisho ke lana ke msibheke okoqala ukuthi umufi uma edutshuka-ke noma isibhamu lesi-ke sasisondele kakhulu-ke kuyena noma sasila kuyena emzimbeni ukuthi ke leyo powder noma leyo residue leyo-ke yayingagcwala-ke kuyena-ke eyimpahleni la kuyena-ke bese kuba nabantu futhi abamthatha bamhambisa labo bantu nabo-ke leyo primer-ke ingatholakala kubona-ke lokho-ke akusho ukuthi laba badubula-ke kungenzeka ukuthi umuntu uma enayo ukuthi wabamba isibhamu ukuthi wayeseduze nala kwakudutshulwa ngakhona noma ke futhi waba nokuphazamisa abanako ke wasenikezwa nangesibonelo ke somuntu oyidubulile ukuthi lowo muntu uma idubula awe phansi ke nesibhamu beseduze kwakhe umuntu ozofika sithathe leso sibhamu leso naye ke angatesta positive akusho kodwa lokho ukuthi uyena ke umuntu odubulile.
Lieutenant Colonel, if I can ask you to turn to Exhibit S. These are the photos of the downloads of the cell phone of accused number 3. Exhibit S should be there. Yes. It will be shown on the screen just now. There's a photo with various firearms. If you can tell the court whether you are able to see Exhibit 2, the firearm that's currently before court. Are you able to identify it on any of those photos? You can page through all the photos where the firearms are shown. You can have a look at that one on the screen.
It's not the same type of firearm.
Akusona ke lesi isibhamu.
Yes, and that one.
My lord, this is also a CZ75. It's the
Nalena
same type of firearm, but I cannot confirm that it is the one that we have.
nalena
It's the same
iCZ
model.
4075 kodwa ngeke ngisho ukuthi ilesi esiphambi kwenkantolo kodwa imodel eyodwa.
What picture number is it, Mr. Mulwi?
40, my lord.
40.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Right, and just on those ones.
I cannot see clearly the types of firearms that are there.
Angiyiboni kahle ke lezi inhlobo zezibhamu ezilapha yana kulesithombe.
Okay, you can also look at the other one.
my lord, the photos are too blurry. I cannot confirm
Okay.
what time. what
Ayigamile ke iy'thombe lezi angikwazi ukusho ke kahle.
Now, Warrant Officer Musia took some swabs from the kitchen tile on the wall. Took swabs 5 and 6. I just want to show you a photo where he took swab 5 and 6. I think it's photo 86 and 87. It's photo 91 and 92. Now, swab 6, which was a wet swab from the kitchen towel on the wall. We have the DNA results there on as per Exhibit X 11. And the results are that swab number 6, the deceased profile can be read in the DNA material that was found on the swab. What would your comment be regarding the blood that was found there on the kitchen wall?
On the kitchen wall.
Yes.
My lord, if we look at the bleeding of the deceased, how he was shot, the entrance is on the chest, the exit is at the back. And if he starts bleeding, he's wearing a vest and a t-shirt. So for blood to be on the crime scene, for blood to start dripping, the t-shirt and the vest that he was wearing has to soak in blood first. And there's gravity, so blood will be oozing from the end, will start flowing downwards. But your vest and the t-shirt must soak first in blood before it can start dripping. So the blood that we see there, it might be when they were transporting him or after maybe somebody touched the blood and then touched the wall, transferring that blood to the wall. But
Yeah.
that cannot be related to the wound as he was shot at.
Leli gazi ke elibonakala laphayana noma elikhonjwa laphayana ke kusho igazi leli ke eliphuma kulona ke inxeba ngoba kungenzeka nanjengoba adutshulwa ke ukuthi kuzoqala nanjengoba egqoke iskipa kanye nevest ukuthi iqale kube izona ke ezimanzi ezisokhwa kulona ke igazi lelo ukuze liqale ke ukuthi liqonsise futhi ke siwileke nokuthi ke base bemthatha ke mhlambe kunomuntu owambamba ke wase eyobamba khona lapha ubondeni.
Because when you look at, if you can look at how he was wounded or how the wound was inflicted, it's a gunshot. When you look at our 9mm normal 9mm pistol, when you look at the muzzle velocity of a 9mm, the muzzle velocity of a 9mm bullet is between 350 and 380 meters per second. So it's very quick. So if a person is shot, before he could start bleeding, the bullet is already gone, it's gone. So
Uma-
chances of finding blood on that bullet are very slim. Because as it exits, there's a t-shirt, there's a vest, which can wipe the blood, can remove the blood. And again, the speed, when it travels, again, the speed of that bullet can also remove blood due to the wind as it cuts through the wind.
Nangesivinini ke inhlamvu ehamba ngaso ngakhulukazi ke i9mm u350 kuya ke ku308 meter ngesecond ke kungenzeka kune vest kune t-shirt ukuthi nayo nazo ke zingalisuka ke lelo gazi lelo uthi uma eqala nje ukopha ke ibise inhlamvu yona kade iphumile.
That's good, please, my lord. This is almost time to call it a day for today. Yes, it's 3:30.
Okay.
Can we then adjourn until tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Are you available, Lieutenant? Tomorrow?
I'm available, my lord.
Okay. Then until 10 o'clock tomorrow.